What's up guys, it is me, Mad Samurai 84, here for another edition for PS Plus Plays. We're in the month of May. We have 3 new games, one PS4 game and 2 PS4, PS5 games. Haven't played, actually no, I have played one of them beforehand in the past on Xbox Game Pass. A long time ago, but yeah, I've played through these games for a bit and kind of messed around with them to see if they're any good, really. So I played through them for at least a couple of hours of each, some more than others because I got into them more. So yeah, last April was an alright month. It was, especially from March was rather weakish month, but this one's there. It's not too bad, but I've played through the games. I'm going to say what I do like, what I don't like, just general chit chat, and at the end I'm going to give thumb scores. A thumb score wherever I think it's a good game, and a thumb score wherever I think it's a good offering. And at the end I'll give an overall score for the month and see if it is technically a good month for PS Plus subscribers. Anyway, let's jump in and talk about the first game. Now, our first title is Decenders. This was released in August 2020. Now, this is the one I have played beforehand. I've briefly played it on Xbox Game Pass. I downloaded it, and I'll go on and talk about it. Basically, it's a downhill mountain biking game. Really, that's what it is. That's what it says on its Wikipedia page. Really, and each level is supposedly procedurally generated, which is interesting. So it's kind of each one is different each time, which is quite interesting. But so it's you just start at the top and basically you just got to get to the end. You have X amount of lives, and if you fail, you have to restart a whole run. But you do multiple courses in a run, and you get to the boss level, complete that, and then you go on to the next one, really, and you carry on your lives, and you can gain more lives as you go on. But if you die, you restart. But when I originally played it, I only played it for about 15 minutes, and I kind of just I couldn't be bothered, really. But it's an interesting concept with these procedurally generated games, not games, levels. But I did get the feeling that kind of some of them just felt like they were just repeating themselves. Really, there was nothing massively difference between. There are differences between some levels, but you can go from one to the other, and it's very, very similar. Really, they add more bumps, this or maybe more jumps, more steepness, but it kind of sometimes gets the feeling that it gets a bit same. Graphically, it's not that impressive. It does look like a game that would easily have ran on a PS3, and it probably can run on a PS3. I don't know if there is a PS3 version. Probably isn't, but it probably could run on a PS3. But yeah, it's not the most beautiful looking game. It's got some dull textures of it. But the animations are pretty nice, really, of the biking, really, and there are some nice little touches here and there. But the game it does control very well. It feels very responsive, and that's probably the key thing with this game is when you're doing downhill is how well are the controls, and the controls are very good, very responsive, and you can do your front flips, back flips, do tricks and stuff using all your shoulder buttons and your analog sticks to do different moves. So yeah, that's if you want to get a very master at that, yeah, please. It will take you time, really. It's definitely not no Tony Hawk's Matt Hoffman type game. Definitely not anything like that. But I did get the feeling that the game was just becoming rather repetitive very quickly. On each stage, you're given these little missions, really, where it's like do X amount of front flips, back flips, spins, near misses, and if you do that, you gain an extra life, really, because you only have X amount of lives during your run, and you can gain more lives. And each time you crash, you lose a life, and yeah, and you do that, but it just felt like the levels themselves felt like they're repeating. The missions were kind of repeating. Yeah, they do change, and I don't know how many different types of missions they give you, but they're all virtually round about the same ish. But I have to say, after playing this, I kind of have to go back to a game I was played quite a lot last year. I prefer the biking and gameplay and the overall feel of the downhill biking in Riders Republic, which was excellent, and I would recommend that to anyone. It's an excellent game, lots of fun. I platinumed in it. It can take a while with one certain trophy, but yeah, it's for that game. Like for me, I would rather play Riders Republic because that's so much fun. Yeah, you've got a lot more different stuff you're doing, but even just on the bike, I found was more entertaining. But this game can deliver a couple of hours of entertainment, but you will find yourself wanting to move on to something else quite quickly and question if you should really return and maybe even try out Riders Republic instead. Really, it is there. You can get a bit of fun with it. I will probably have a little more play around with it and see how I go, because I just wanted to see how far I could get on a run. But I don't think I'll be spending too much time on the game. But when you look at its Metacritic, it got a 75 on Metacritic, which is quite interesting. I can probably understand maybe why. Some people like the whole way they did the procedurally generated levels, but I also think that's probably a bit too high, because when you look at its user scores, it sits at a 5, which I can easily understand that as well. I can understand the medium in between the two, maybe why people gave it that 75 and why people gave the user score sits at a 5. And I'm probably leaning slightly in the middle of that. I think it would be more like a 60 for me, maybe like a 5.8, 6, really, not more than a 6. I feel like that is the game for me. But if I go with my thumb scores, what would I give it for a thumb score? Well, as a game score, it's an okay game. It does get repetitive, and you could have a little bit of fun with it. You're not going to be wowed by the graphics. Yeah, you might think, oh well, it's PS4, it doesn't matter really. And graphics don't make a game, but it's an alright game. But I'm going to go with a game score of a thumb in the middle, because it's alright. It's not terrible. It's not great, but it is pretty half decent ish. Because I think it is alright. You can spend some time with it, and it's probably going to be more. There's going to be certain people are going to like it more than others, of course. As for an offering score, well, I can see it being an okay offering, but also not a great offering. Some people are going to like it more than others, but for me, I'm going to go with a quarter of a thumb up. Because yeah, you can kill some time, but for me, I might try a little bit more, but I think they could have been a lot better. It is only a bit over 2.5 years old, so it's not that too old of a game. And some people are going to like it, and some people aren't really. But it is what it is. It's an alright. It's alright. It's a filler. It's one of those stocking filler type games for me personally. But anyway, that's the first game done. Now, our second game for me was it's quite an interesting one, to be honest. It's one called Chivalry 2, which was just released in June 2021. And this is another case of I've seen it around, I've seen the art somewhere, on I think probably on an online store selling it or something, but I haven't actually seen the game or heard anything of the game. I've just seen the cover, the art. That's it. I've never seen it all, so I've just kind of gone like, oh, I've seen it going, oh, what's this? I never bother looking into it, and so it is what it is. But no, it's just dropped on my doorstep. But this is basically like a mass brawl game where you have a team of attackers against a team of defenders. You either got to defend the city or you got to take it over one bit at a time. Storm the gates, storm this, take this, destroy this, go on and on and on. There's about supposedly it says online that there's 15 maps to choose from. What you don't choose from it. I haven't been able to choose a map. I've just been. There's not really much choice, really. You just kind of go in and it chucks you in a battle, and I suppose there's a few different modes, but there's not too many from what I can see. This is all part of it. But I think one of the most important things about this game that I found when playing it is the controls just feel very awkward and a bit janky. But it's the combat controls. It will take you a bit of playtime to get used to it, and I've put a couple of hours and I'm still trying to get remotely okay with any weapon that's not a piece of bread or a bow, really, because there is a quite a bit of random luck and skill, because it's all about swiping this and that, and the combat I feel like probably could have been more refined, really, and I've been mainly, you can play it in third person or first person, and I've just been playing it straight up first person because I feel like it's probably a bit more fun, and probably getting with the combat might be a bit easier for me personally, and but graphically also this is not a masterpiece, but it does look pleasant in certain areas. It's some of the models look alright, but also some of the models of like NPCs when you see in cutscenes look a bit ugly, I must say. But it's not too bad, but not too great. It's that kind of, well, because it's a PS4/PS5. I'm playing the PS5 version, so it is just a bit of a PS4 game that's just been kind of, upscaled, really, just giving a little bit of shine onto it. But one thing I did feel like when playing this game and going through the option, it needs to give the player a better choice of the maps they want to play, and a better choice of selecting different modes, really, as I feel like you don't really have much choice of what you're playing. And even if you have much of a choice, I'm not too sure, because there's a whole private server thing, and I was trying to look onto that, and there's a whole filter thing, and that was just a bit rubbish. And yeah, you can see people like probably selecting maps that you can actually play, but it's all a bit like, okay, I think they could have done better with the searching and going into matches. Really, you can just do the quick match where it chucks you in, but also being able to search and see what type of matches are being played on what type of maps. I think they could have probably done better, giving the players a better choice of just jumping into probably what they want to play. And but also playing through the game, there are plenty of like just little bugs, but the main bug is mainly small ones, but the biggest one will be, and this isn't like earth shattering, it's like I've fallen through the game world quite a few times, but it's only ever happened when I've died. Like I've died and I've fallen through, and you fall through and then you spawn and you're like, oh, okay, that's not as bad as like a general design. It's not bad, but it's, as a general aspect, it's something you don't really want to do. The main thing is you don't want the game to crash, really. You want it to be very playable, and the game is playable, really. The battles themselves are just utter carnage, and actually just quite a lot of fun to just jump into. The battles can range from a couple of minutes to about 20 plus minutes. It's technically easier to be on the defending team as you have more chances to win the match. But if you have to make it to the last stage in the attacking team to win the battle. Really, if you don't make it to the end, you failed. Really, that's what it is. So I feel like it's actually a bit tougher to get the win on the attacking team. The only way you get it is if you got probably more soldiers, really, which I can feel like can be a bit unfair. But we did do a match the other day, and we won it, but on the attacking team, and it felt like it went on for ages. It was like utter carnage. Like, get through the maps, get here, take over this section. All right, destroy this. Then all right, go destroy that, and then open this gate, and then do here, then get into the church and destroy this and that. And it's like, oh wow, Jesus Christ, and you got to do it within a set time limit of doing that mission. So it can get very, very busy. But I do feel like this game could really do with like having more choice in modes. Like if you look at the modes in something like the COD, like something like King Hill, Domination, etc., and adapt them to this type of game, and I think they would actually really work with this game. It'd actually be a lot of fun. And but this is a game that you need to spend time on, and you need to get used to the combat. Otherwise, it will just you get over it quite quickly, really, because you need to just do it, play it, and try it. I nearly gave up, but I just hit that turning point, and having a bit more fun. Even with the flaws, it is fun. You just got to play it, and you got to get used to the combat and this and that, and you slowly get there, and you actually have quite a bit of fun here. The one thing I think, for me personally, I think this is really missing. It's just some sort of single player mode. It'd be nice to just have some sort of like a run of like 10 or so missions, whether they're kind of based on, I don't know, something. I think it's like a lost opportunity to do some sort of single player. I think you could have easily done some sort of little single player. It didn't even have to be big. It could have just been a small little thing that could have just taken a couple of hours for the players to do, and then your online part is your main part. And I think that's fine for me personally. But I feel like it missed that, and it could have done with having that. But when you look at its Metacritic, when you look at the PS4, it sits at a 66. So you're like, oh, okay, it's not too bad, but not too great, really. It's lesser than Descenders. But when you look at the PS5, there's a bigger jump in the PS5. The PS5 version scored an 85, and you're like, oh, okay. I can see people wanting to give it a 66, and I can see people wanting to give it an 85. I can see that. When you look at its user scores, though, the people weren't as happy with it. The PS4 user score is a 5.1, and the PS5 user score is a little bit more, but it's definitely still quite a bit lower than the critic score. It sits at 6.4, and I can see that people wanting to give that score. So when I want to give thumb scores, what do I do? Because it can be really lame, but for me personally, I've been having a lot of fun with this game. It is fun. You just got to get over these controls. You got to get good, really. But I can understand if it's not your cup of tea. But for me, I'm going to give this a game score of a 3/4 of a thumb up, because it's a lot of fun, really. And it'd be interesting to play with some friends, really, in this game. It is quite a lot of fun. And as an offering score, you know what? I think this is a good offering, and it's something I wasn't expecting to really enjoy, but I have really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give that another 3/4 of a thumb up, because I feel like you can have a lot of fun with this. Yeah, it may be dead in 12. I might be dead online 12 months. I don't know, but for now, it's fun. It's good. So yeah, I think it's a fun game to be playing, and it's a decent offering they've given us in this game. Now, our last title for May's PS Plus is Grid Legends. Now, this is the after finally first, what's it been, 15 years? I finally properly play a grid game. I've never played one really. My only experience is probably like a 2 minutes of the demo of the original release on. I think I played it on PS3. It did really interest me, even though I had people I worked with at the time. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is great, and I love it. It's great," and I just like, I just deleted it and never looked back. But also to start thinking of, I used to like sim racing games. I like the genre back in like the PS1, PS2. I played like Gran Turismo and all that stuff, and I really liked it. But I kind of grew bored of it over time. With all the grinding and stuff. It was fun, but I kind of just got a bit over it. And the only races I really play now are, well, really arcade type ones, really, because I find them more fun to play. For me, I can easily just dip in, dip out, do a couple of races, bish bash bosh, done. But now after playing this one, I have to say this has a great feel of blending. It has it feels like a nice blend of like a sim racer and like an entertaining an arcade racer. Really, it feels like they've kind of made a nice blend where they've made it quite sim, and you can make it as sim racing as you like with all the tuning and stuff and difficulty wise, but you can have it as slightly easy if you just want to have like a nice ride. And that was quite. I thought it was quite nice. It was quite easy to just jump in and get into it. But when you play it, you kind of see this is not like, it doesn't have like a true next gen feel in the graphics department. As you can clearly see, this is like a PS4 game with some extra shine on it. Everything does look great. It looks good. The cars look very good. But compared to kind of some of the next gen racing games that are out now, it's not comparable to them. But overall, the presentation is up there of like the best looking like PS4 racer sims. Really, it is up there. It does look good overall, and one of the main reasons why I feel like I'll play this game more is the fact that it controls very well. Not too sim-like for me, but I guess you can, as I was saying, you can change it, make it more realistic. But because for me, like in currently work and family situation, I need to kind of have stuff that's easy accessible. If you want me to get into it, I don't mind, a challenge, but I don't have time to spend 2 months in like perfecting a corner and this and that. I just kind of want to have some fun. And have a little bit of challenge here and there and some things, but racing sims is something I don't want to have to be having a challenge, and I want to have a bit of fun. What I did find what makes this a little bit different to the other racing sims is that there's like a career mode wrapped into like some sort of story where all the cutscenes are live action scenes, and all have some sort of like it even says it in the Wikipedia, and I was thinking when I was watching it, and it actually says it has that kind of essence of the F1 Drive to Survive series that's on Netflix. It's the way it's done, and so it's like, oh, okay, I like what they've done here. They haven't just done like CGI scenes, they've actually done live action scenes. And while the scenes aren't Oscar worthy material, they project enough like depth and emotion to have some sort of investment into it where you don't want to skip the scenes and go straight into the race. So I think they've done a well job. Everything is more or less well acted in a way, and it's done very well. The game boasts like 130 tracks from real locations. Not necessarily like everything's real from what I know, because they've got a lot of like street races, but I think they've a lot of them are from they're sort of real locations, grids, but I think there's some also made up ones. It's got 100 plus vehicles, so that's a decent amount of tracks, but not as many cars as some of the other big sim races where they have like their 400 plus, but they have kind of like less tracks from when I was looking into it. So it has a decent amount of tracks, and Probably just not so many cars where it kind of drives you insane, really, of like, oh god, what car do I choose? You know, they've limited the amount of cars you have, which is good in a way, because it just gets a bit, you know, who wants to drive a 1994 Toyota Corolla around the racetrack? Some people will, but, you know, most people probably don't. And also, I'd say, like the Forza series, I played a little bit of it, not really into it, because it's quite very true sim based, but I appreciate it. Grid was another one of those races that used that rewind feature. I remember that was like a big thing that was kind of being touted when this came out. It's like, oh, rewind, and people were talking about it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And, you know, I can safely say I haven't messed up that much where I've had to really use it. I've kind of maybe used it once or twice to see what it's like. But it's good to know that if you make a crucial mistake, you can easily turn back the clock and put your feet on the brakes a little bit sooner when going around a bend. Which is not bad. And overall, I think I have to say I'm liking this race, and it's a nice addition to the library. It's something I feel like I'm going to play through the story at least, and pay for a little bit more maybe, and go from there, really. You know, if it gets to the point where I feel like, oh, I might be able to platinum this, and it's not going to take me too much time, I think I might give it a go. And when you look at its Metacritic, for the PS4's Metacritic, when I looked, there wasn't a score for the PS4. PS5, it sits at a 77. So I can understand that. It's like I can see like a 7, 8 type thing in between that, really, when you kind of play it and you look at it. And, you know, I think it was more of a powerhouse in the graphics department. I think that kind of would be easily probably in the 80s. But when you look at its user scores, that's where you can see, haven't really read the comments, but you know, the PS4 user score sits at a 5.3 and the PS5 one sits at a 5.9. So they look a bit low to me. So, you know, maybe some people are very disgruntled with it. I'm not too sure. I have to probably have more of a deeper dive, but you know, from my playtime, you know, I've put about 3-4 hours into the game. I wouldn't go that low, to be honest. I definitely wouldn't go that low. I think the normal Metacritic score seems more just for it. But anyway, thumb scores. What would I give a thumb score? Well, as a game score, I feel like it's a decent game. You know, not the best of races, but I think for me personally, it gives a nice blend of the sim and arcade feel to it. So I've been enjoying it. So I'm going to give a game score of a 3/4 thumb up. It's a very decent game. Looks nice, plays nice, controls well. I think that's kind of more important. You can kind of, you know, adjust it to your skill level, and you can have fun with it, really. As an offering score, well, this is from this was released in February 2022, so it's literally just over a year old. So it's not too old. So we get a kind of a newish game that's, you know, under 18 months old. It doesn't break that 12-month barrier, and you know, probably hasn't sold too strongly. Not too sure. That's why I'm assuming it's on PS Plus for within that time frame. But hey ho, you may have. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked into sales. But I think this is decent if you like racing games and you want something that you can just jump in and have a bit of fun. This is definitely worth having a go with, really. And you know, it's definitely, I think, a nice addition, as I said, to the library. So I'm going to give an offering score of a 3/4 thumb up, because I think it's a decent offering. I think I've never really played a good game, and I've played this one and I thought, oh, this one's quite good. You know, I'm not going to go back and play the back catalogue, but it's a decent one, a decent racing game to have in the catalogue to be giving us. Now we've played through all the games of May's PS Plus, let's talk about overall for the month. And kind of give an overall score for May. And was it a good month? Was it a bad month? Was it a boring month? Mid month? Whatever. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, let's look at it. So our first game was Descenders. Now I thought that was okay. It controls well. It's graphically. It looks like it could be on a PS3, really, and it probably wouldn't be like a great looking game on PS3. But it is alright. It does feel like it gets repetitive, but you can easily kill a few hours on it. I personally prefer Riders Republic, even though that's a bit of a different game. But the whole kind of the downhill biking, it's just a bit more fun on Riders Republic. It's a really good game. Not enough people talk about it. Really, it's super enjoyable. I gave that a game score of a thumb in the middle and an offering score of a quarter of a thumb up. Not a terrible game. We could have had a better offering. You can have fun with it. It's going to be one of those things. You're either going to like it or you're not really going to be bothered with it. But it's all right. Our second title for the month was Chivalry 2. This is a game that I knew of. I had seen box art, but I've never seen anything of it really. And I have to say, this is a really enjoyable game. Have had a lot of fun playing it. You really have to get used to the controls of the combat because there is a way, with the weapons. There are bugs on it, but it's one of those online games. But I like the medieval kind of setting. It's quite fun, and I have had a lot of fun. It's definitely something I'm gonna keep installed. I'm gonna play it for a bit longer, and it is. I've had a lot of fun playing it, and kind of looking forward to kind of jumping into it and playing it. I remember seeing this kind of. I can't remember. I think it was in Australia, and I saw it kind of going for a decent low price on in a store, and I was like, oh, always looking for a bargain. What's interesting? That's cheap, but never went past that apart from looking at the price tag. But I gave this a game score of a 3/4 thumb up and an offering score of another 3/4 thumb up. And then after that, our last game was Grid Legends, done by the racing. Wouldn't call them some racing masters, but they're very much known for their racing games, Codemasters. Now because they're owned by EA. Really enjoyed this game. Really fun. Nice little story weaved into it. You don't have to do the story. You can just jump in and race and have a normal career. But yeah, decent game. Looks nice. Not the greatest looking of races, because it's that kind of split generation. But nice game. A good addition to the library. Something I am going to play through for a little bit. It's going to be easy. It's going to be one of those games I kind of jump in, play it for a little bit, jump out and play something while playing something else. I gave that a game score of a 3/4 thumb up and another offering score of a 3/4 thumb up. So that's all those games. So overall, how do we think May looked like? Well, I think May was a pretty. It's a good month really. It's not the best. It's not great, but it's really good. Let's put it that way. So I think overall for the month, I'm going to give a game score of a 3/4 thumb. I think overall we got a really decent level of games for the month. I think we've got some pretty nice additions to the library. Whether you're going to like them or not, personal preference in a way, but they are good. They cover lots of different bases, and you can have quite a bit of fun with them. Really, you can spend a lot of time playing each one, I think. As an overall offering score, so the overall game score was 3/4 thumb up, and an overall offering score, well,
I think two of the games were very good offerings, but I think the Descenders, I don't think it was a great offering. I think we could have got a better offering for the month. So I can either go, or I kind of went more. I didn't give them the benefit of the doubt because I thought, no, I'm not going to be praising them too much because I think it's that kind of brought it down a bit. I think Descenders brought the offering score down for me personally overall. So I think I give an overall offering score of a thumb in the middle. Even Chivalry 2 and Grid Legends, I thought they were good offerings. I think Descenders kind of brought that a little bit down. And I think it could have been better, really, for me. But it's not a terrible month, but it's not their best month. It's better than previous months we've had in the past. But it's been PS Plus has been pretty good for quite a while, really. You get the odd duck, really, and I call the odd duck probably when we got Battlefield and Minecraft Dungeons. For me, I didn't think that was a strong month. I thought it was rather a weak month to me. But yeah, that's those games. That's the month. Thumb in the middle for my offering score for overall for May. So I think that's justifiable. Anyway, that's May's PS Plus plays done. I've played them all. I've actually played them. There's a lot of people I see they don't actually play these games. They just kind of go by what they kind of read. Really, they don't spend any time playing them at all. I've tried to spend quite a bit of time playing each one so I can actually say what I actually think about each game. But anyway. That's this month's videos done. I'm still trying to cobble other things together while doing my life. But anyway, please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of May's games. What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you hope they're going to give us in the following months? I don't know. Let's see. Anyway, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, guys, take care, look after yourselves, and goodbye.